Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we have a set of pencils that I was gifted for my birthday from a lovely woman and fella. They both sent it to me. These were sent to me from AliExpress. They are a colored pencil. It's an oily colored pencil and there's no name on the front. However, there is a logo on the pencils themselves, which is this logo here, and that's the name, I would assume. All the information is pretty much in Asian. Not sure if it's Chinese or Japanese. Do believe Chinese. Just looking to see. Yeah, there's no information. But they are 200 colored pencils in the set. And they're lovely, lovely pencils. The box, of course, came damaged, so I've got little bits of box everywhere. But the color array is quite nice. So we've got our yellows going into our orange, our red going into our pink, and as you can see here, there was damage done. And then our pink going into our purple going into our blue, and so forth. We'll take a closer look at all of the trays after the swatch. So sit back, grab your cup of coffee, and we will do the swatch, and then we will do some testing, and we will look at the pencils themselves a little bit closer. All right, guys, sit back, relax. This will take approximately 7 minutes. It is a lot of pencils, so I will be right back. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Now, the only problem that I have found so far with these pencils is my set came with two 47s. So there is a color missing. I don't know what color it is, but I did get a duplicate 47, which is fine because it's a nice gray. So other than that, they are a little bit drier than most colored pencils, but not any drier than any of the other lower cost brands. So they put down a lot of pigment, a really nice amount of pigment. They were not waxy, so I didn't get a huge amount of wax with no pigment, which was awesome. I hate that. When I color with a pencil, I want it to put down some color, not just wax. The white is very translucent. It did not cover up the black as much as I would have preferred, but that's all right. That's typical of most colored pencil sets. So we have our yellows going into our peach tones and our yellow oranges, into our orange, into our red, into our pink, It's a really good selection of light pinks as well as dark pinks. Into our red violets, into our purples, into our blue purples. So these ones here are pink purples, and then we have our blue purples there. Going into our deep blues, our light blues, and then our aquatic blues, and then into our aquatic greens, our greens. So these are the yellow greens, into our blue greens and our deeper greens here, into our brown greens, and then into our browns. And it has a really good selection of browns, including some red browns that I wasn't sure where to put. I was going to move them up here to the reds. However, when I colored next to each other with them, you can definitely see the brown in the red. However, when I colored next to a brown with it, you could definitely see the red in the brown. So it's one of those types of colors where you have to kind of guess where to put it. I found that it worked a little bit better next in the red browns. And then into our dark browns, our grays, into our blacks. And we've got two different tones of black here. So we've got a little bit of a purpley black and a darker black. So a really good set of pencils in color-wise. So let's take a look at the pencil itself. So it's, that's the worst one possible to do that with. Hold on, let's grab something a little darker. Let's do this one here. So it's got colored pencil on it, the company logo, and then a pencil number. There are no pencil names. They are coated on all the way to the end, so they are dipped on the end. I didn't have too many that were horribly off center. So they're well centered. The wood sharpened very nicely in the crank sharpener. I did go through and sharpen all of these. I did do a swatch of them before sharpening, and I did find that they were really dry, almost scratchy, and then I sharpened them and that went away. So it was just a coating that was on the pencils. All right, so let's take a look at each tray. So like I said, we've got our reds, our yellows, oranges, reds, pinks. This one here, we've got our purples into our blues and our blue greens. And as you can see, I went back and forth, back and forth. Then we've got our blue greens, our green blues, and then our greens into our browns, blacks, and grays. Deep browns, grays, and blacks. It does come with two little tiny sharpeners. These sharpeners aren't horrible, but they're great for, when you're in a pinch and need to sharpen a pencil. It's one of the ones that gets tucked away into the sharpener bucket and used when necessary. It's not one that I would grab instantaneously. All right, so we're going to put these back and we're going to pull a blue while we're at it. So let's grab number 31. Maybe. I should have had all these turned, but oh, there's number 7. So number 31 should be here. Yep. So there's number 31. And then we'll grab a red and a yellow as well. So we'll put this back in here. I can't wait to put these in a case so I don't have to deal with these trays. Yellow, we'll grab number 4. And red, we'll grab number 1. So there's our red, yellow, and blue. Now we're going to pop this back over into the tray, into the box. And we'll move the box over here. And we'll take our swatch chart. So, of course, I do different testing on the pencils, and we will be doing that testing. I'm just going to zoom you in here just a little bit. Just got to pull that up. So I'm going to zoom you in, and we'll focus on the there we go. All right. So as you can see, we've got our spots for our water, our smudge, the 3-color blend, the rainbow blend, the blender, and the white. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our water. So we're going to color in these spots here with each of our colors. Now, the reason why I use the 3 primary colors for this is because they are usually the most pigmented. And if they're going to run 9 times out of 10, it will be the blues and the reds that will move with the water. So I'm just filling this in the same way I would with coloring, making sure that as much of the white spot is covered and we've got a good saturation on the page. The reason why I do this test is because I use water mediums on my projects, on my pages. So Stickles, Wink Estella, gel pen, things like that are all water-based. And if your pencils move and you are using a lot of those products, you will find that the color may move with your brush or with the puddle, or different things like that. I was using Wink Estella on one of my pages, and I found that yeah, as the Wink Estella moved, so did the picture, the coloring on the picture, which created some muddy mess basically, because it moved all of those colors together and did not look pretty. So knowing that pencils move with water is a good thing to start any project with. And that way you will know when you get to the end of the project if you want to use those water mediums on it. You're a lot less liberal with those mediums. Now, being that these are a budget-friendly pencil, I do believe I looked them up and I think they were like $50 for the 200 set. So being that they're a budget-friendly pencil, I don't expect them to be water resistant. Definitely not waterproof. So we're going to test the yellow. And as I suspected, it is moving. Test the red. And definitely has motion. Almost can paint with it. But this was to be expected. With the dryness of the pencils, that tells me that there's not a lot of wax in the pencil itself, which the wax is what gives you that water resistant barrier. Now, knowing that they run with water, they move with water, I can tell you that with the chemical makeup of my skin, they will probably smudge as well. So I will have to remember while using these not to rub my hand back and forth over top of the pencils. However, we're going to do the smudge test anyway because sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes they'll run with water, but if you can burnish them down hard enough, they won't run or won't smudge with your hand. Also, if you do want to use a water medium on top of this, I would definitely suggest that you seal it with either a Caran d'Ache blender or a heavily wax-based pencil. So like a Prismacolor white or something. Again, just filling in that area. The same way I would if I was coloring. So building that up and filling that in. These are an oil-based pencil, so they do need to be built up. You can do 1 or 2 layers heavily, but you will kill the tooth of your paper quite quickly. Another thing I've noticed about oil-based pencils sometimes is that they color a lot better. You get a lot more coverage if you use a sharp pencil. All right, here we go. Definitely movement, definite movement. So it definitely has movement, especially in the red, but all 3 of them do have some movement. I'll tip this for you so you can see. Trying to show you the movement, but it's not showing very well. There it is. You can see the red, yellow, and blue. It's not a huge amount of movement, and I don't fault it for moving a little bit, but that's just with running my finger over it a couple of times, and I wasn't really pressing down too hard. One of the reasons why I do this test is because I color by pushing my hand back and forth across the page, which if I was to do that over top of something that's already been colored, my hand's going to pick up that color and start moving it across the page in areas I don't want it to be. All right, so we're going to do our 3 color here. So let's flip this over for a second. We're going to grab, let's see, let's go 37, 26, and 98. So there's 98. There's 26 and 37. All right, so there's our pink tones. So we've got 36 or 37, 26, and 98. So we're going to be using this color here, and this color here. So we're going to start with our dark, our medium, and then our light. All right, so again, we just seeing if they will blend together and build color in a gradient without leaving a harsh line. Between the colors. Again, we need to build that color. And on cardstock, these are laying down color pretty nicely. I'm not getting any scratchy, yucky feeling of, like fingernails on chalkboards. But they are drier, so they do crumble a little bit. All right, so there's our dark. Now for our medium tone. Going into that dark tone. And blending it out. That's interesting. The medium tone seems to be a little bit drier, a little bit crumblier than the dark tone, but they are blending together quite nicely, which is great. Just going to dust that off so that we don't pick any of that medium tone up. Again, building that color up. Like so. So it did it did definitely do what I wanted it to do, where it blended those colors together, giving us that gradient progression. And again, like I said, you can build that color even more by going over it. The more times you go over it until the tooth of the page is full, the darker your colors will become. Just going to put this last layer on for the darker color. Like so. So it does definitely do that gradients that we like. All right, so let's see if we can do a rainbow with them. So we're going to start with our red. Now what we're going to do, of course, is we're going to put our red down. We're going to blend our yellow into it, with this being a blending pencil where you're layering. You may find that you have to layer the different colors on top of each other more than once. So I've got the red down. I'm going to start back here for the yellow because we need it for the blue, and we don't want to drag that red into the blue. And of course we want a yellow layer. So definitely have a orange there. That is more of a red orange because of course we put down the red first. Now if I go over it again and bring that red into the yellow, we're going to end up with the red orange as well as a yellow orange. Like so. So there we have our red orange and our yellow orange. Now we're going to do the same thing with the blue. I'm going to put the blue down back here. And over top into the yellow. It's definitely creating that green. Now the more blue you add, the darker the green. So we're going to add some yellow. So we definitely have our rainbow. So we've got our red into our orange, into our yellow, our green, and our blue. All right, so now let's see if we can blend with the blender pencil. So we've got our Caran d'Ache blender here. And we've got our pink tones. I'm going to grab a red, the dark pink, and the medium pink. So let's start with our red. Making sure I put down enough color that the blender will actually move it. Otherwise, the blender will just lift it off the page and move what it can. And that usually, just makes a big old mess. So if you put more pigment down, it has more of an opportunity to blend those colors together. All right, now our dark pink. And then our lighter medium pink. Now this isn't to test if the blender can remove the white spot. This is just to test if we can move those colors together to eliminate these lines in between the blends. So we're going to go this way. And then we're going to go this way. Now the blender does blend and smooth out the color, but I still see that line in between each color. So I like the way that it blends them down into a smooth blend, but the variations is still very, very noticeable. So let's see if we can do this with white. So again, we're going to do our red. Now with white, you are going to have a change of color. The more opaque the white, the more change in your color you're going to have. So if your white is not very opaque, you will find that you don't have a huge change of color. But if your white is extremely opaque, you're going to have a change of color. The white will deaden it down or dampen it down so that it's lighter than you started out with. And with things like black and that sort of thing, you can end up with, you know, black, red, orange, things like that. You can end up with different colors than you put down. All right. Okay. Now we're going to take our white. We're going to start in our lightest area here. So we're going to go this way. And then we'll go this way. So it does blend them a lot nicer than the blender did, and it does cover all the white spots. So with this set, and it doesn't deaden the color too much because it's not an extremely opaque white. So with this set, I would definitely say that you won't have any problems blending with your white, and it may be a better solution than a blending pencil. So even going through all those different colors, it didn't change the color a whole lot. So definitely able to blend with that white. All right, so let's see. Water, no. Smudge, no. Blend, yes. Rainbow, yes. Blender, and white, yes. So I would definitely say that overall, for a budget-friendly pencil, they're not too bad. On AliExpress, like I said, they're approximately $50. So it works out to be, let's check. Calculator. So approximately 25 cents per pencil. So that's a pretty good price for a budget-friendly set of pencils with this amount of colors. So would I recommend them? I haven't actually colored anything with them, but just from the amount that I've colored on the swatch charts, as well as the amount of swatching that I've done with them, they would definitely be a set that you could look into and feel confident that you are getting a quality or a good arrangement of pencils, as well as a good quality of blending pigment and that sort of thing. Are they something I would replace my Caran d'Ache with? No. Are they something that I would replace Starjoy Gold with? Absolutely. You know, they're not horrible. I'm trying to put this because everybody always wants me to compare them to other pencils, compare everything to other pencils. And most pencils have their own feel. So to compare these to Caran d'Ache, Prisma, Faber-Castell, any of those top quality brands is a disservice to the pencils because they're definitely not in that category, but they weren't made to be in that category. They're definitely not student grade, but they're not um, artist in a professional level grade either. They're not a professional artist grade. That's the words I'm looking for. But for a colorist, somebody that enjoys coloring in color books or on cardstock or anything else like that, they are a very nice set of pencils. Would I compare them to any of those other higher brands? No, I wouldn't. And it's not because they're not a good quality. It's because they are not made to compete with those brands. All right. So I'm just coloring up this little unicorn here with our pinks. These are the same pinks I used in the blend, the dark, medium, and light. And as you can see, it worked quite nicely. Now we're going to do the hair. So we're going to take, well, we're going to do our little horn first. We'll just do that straight yellow. And then we're going to take the pink. This is the dark pink. And we're going to come off of different areas. And then we're going to take our yellow. And then we'll take our white. Like so. And there we have our little pony. We did a little pony. Alright, so let's grab our red. So we've got to start here with our red. Looks like I might need to sharpen this. And we're going to take our yellow. We're going to fill in 2 areas, well 3. But we're going to do 2 first. Let's do all 3 because we need that one for green. And then we're going to take our red right over top of the yellow. And we're going to go over it with the yellow again. Just blending it in. so. And then we're going to take our blue. Go over top of that yellow to create the green. Then we're going to take our yellow and blend that in. Then again with the blue, a little bit darker now, into the blue areas. So we're just doing the blue line. And then we're going to take our deep pink. And we're going to create that purple. Like so. And there we have our rainbow. I'm just going to take a little bit of that blue again. Like that. Then I take this light pink and we're just going to go into the sky, into the clouds here. And then some yellow. And then some white. I know I'm not really showing you the best way to use all of the colors, but I wanted to check the blendability of them as well as the coverage of them. So this is where we're going to show you how the white works. So because I know this white is fairly translucent, I'm going to start with a heavier hand and start lightening my hand as I come further down the page. But we're going to fill in up here with a little bit darker. basically what we're going to do is we're going to lighten that up, creating that light blue sky by using the white and blending it down. Definitely have to make sure you have the coverage. What I mean by that is, as you can see up here, I've got a good heavy coverage, but down here it's not as heavily covered, so that blue isn't moving around, and we're getting the white to fill in that white spot, which is fine. It gives you the effect that you want. But if you don't want that effect, then you might want to make sure you put down a little bit heavier coverage of a lighter color. All right, so there we have our little unicorn and our little rainbow, and we were able to create those both with a gradients as well as a combination, doing the full rainbow with just the basic colors and some pink, like the base colors, yellow, red, and blue. All right, guys, so my honest opinion of these pencils is, from what I've seen so far, and like I said, I haven't colored a full page with them, they blend very nicely. They are not water resistant or waterproof. No pencil is waterproof. Some pencils are water resistant. No pencils are waterproof. However, if you put a blender over top, like the Caran d'Ache, like I did here, if I take the water brush and I go back and forth like this, it's going to move a little bit, but it's definitely not going to move as much. And if I went over that more with the Caran d'Ache blender, it would seal that in and it wouldn't move at all. It does blend very nicely with the white. It blends okay with the Caran d'Ache. It does remove the white spot, but it doesn't get rid of that line as well as the white does. Can definitely blend the three colors into a gradient and can definitely blend into a rainbow blend, as we saw here. The color selection is phenomenal. It has an absolutely gorgeous color selection, which I like big sets, you know. So to me, having a bigger set isn't a hindrance. It's actually relieving. Sometimes when I'm coloring, I don't want to think of what I can do to make this color lighter or what I can do to make this color darker. I know it's very simple to do, but there are just some days that my brain just does not want to. So having the great variance in different colors does give me a larger palette for my brain not to work with. So basically what I'm saying with that is, if I'm trying to color and I'm on my own just trying to color, I don't want to think. I don't want my brain to be populated with, what do I do now? What is this? What is that? I just want to color it. With larger sets, I find it very simple to do that, because then I don't have to think on what the next color to use to make this color darker, or what color to use to make this color lighter, or more green, or, you know, that sort of thing. I don't want to think about it. So having a larger set does give me that ability not to have to think about it. All right, guys, so this is, like I said, a 200 piece set. I have their name listed as the Cabazon, which is on the back of the box. I may have said that incorrectly. I'm sorry. Um, but that's the only name I have available on the box. All right, guys, I will color something with these at some point soon and give, if you want more information, you can message me and I will let you know after I've colored something on how I felt they did on coloring book paper. On the cardstock I use for my swatch charts, they have done very well. Yeah, so would I recommend purchasing them if you had the opportunity or the money, or preferred to spend less money for something else? Um, I will say that for $50 US on Amazon, you can purchase more pencils with a higher quality, in my opinion. Um, let's just throw it out there. So the 300 color colored pencils in comparison to the 200 set here, I would prefer to purchase the color over this set because the color are a lot smoother of a pencil. This set is dry. It's not scratchy. It's a little bit crumbly and a little bit dry, which does work in its favor with some things. But when you're using lower quality paper, sometimes dry doesn't work out. Sometimes you just can't get that build up on the page. But like I said, I haven't colored with these on coloring book paper. I have colored with the colors on coloring book paper, and I really enjoy the way they color. On the cardstock, these work just fine. They cover, they blend, and everything else. So I'm not saying these are worse than any pencil, but they are not better than some other pencils that are approximately the same cost that do have a slightly higher quality. All right, guys, so that is my first, final, and whatever thoughts on the Cabazon. That's what I'm going to call them. They are the Bam Bam pencils. I'm going to call these ones the Bam Bam pencils. I will post this chart below the video. I will also post where you can get these on AliExpress below the video as well. Like I said, I'm a collector, so I prefer to have all the pencils. But I will say that there are better sets out there than this set. All right, guys, with that, thank you all very much for watching. Of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, bye-bye for now.